Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. SAG-AFTRA Foundation and BroadwayWorld continue their filmed Conversation Q&A series, which celebrates the vibrant theater community here in New York City. This event, which is coming from the Robin Williams Center, is a special conversation with the company of Roundabout Theatre Company's glorious new production of Cole Porter's classic musical, Kiss Me, Kate. Please welcome the stars Kelly O'Hara, Will Chase, Corbin Bleu, and Stephanie Stiles, along with Amanda Green. So how exciting has it been introducing Kiss Me, Kate to a new generation of theater lovers? Because for those of you who haven't seen it yet, this is such a glorious production. Anybody can take it on.
Thank you, Richie. Is this on?
Kelly.
Can you hear me? Okay. What's it? What was your question? No. What's it been like to introduce? No, I've got it to introduce a new generation. I was just kidding. It was a little bit of humor to break up the situation. It has been wonderful, and you know, I didn't grow up on this musical. Strangely enough, me being the queen of classic musicals, I didn't actually. I saw the first time I ever saw it was the revival with Marin and Stokes 20 years ago exactly, and so. I love the idea of introducing it to other people because it was the first musical to ever win the Tony, a Tony for the best musical. So it does talk a lot about the history of this art form, which I think is important to anyone who loves musical theater in general, just to know where it all comes from. But I also like that we have an opportunity to do it and look at it more closely and try to find new reasons to do it in 2019 and you know, let it evolve the way it is a little bit.
Sure. Will, for you.
I mean, it's always fun to kind of reinvestigate. I always use the word reinvestigate, but reinvestigate a piece that we kind of know or we don't know. Yeah. This was never in my, of all the things I ever wanted to do, Kiss Me, Kate was never one of those things. But then I listened to this score, and it's like, why wasn't it? Yeah. Because it's just such a, the score for me, there's nothing like it in the world. Paul Gimignani would say throughout rehearsals, he just was so glad that that people were going to hear. I mean, he was tooting our horns. He was saying he wants everyone to hear us do it, but to hear this score, because there's really nothing like it I think in the whole songbook. When you've got operetta, you've got one of the best opening numbers ever, quintessential theater number, and then you've got, you know, a couple of hot jazz numbers. You've got music hall. So for me, the music is always the starting point. So for people to hear that, I think is awesome. Yeah.
Stephanie.
My story with Kiss Me, Kate is I'd never seen a professional production of it. I'd always seen, you know, colleges or high schools. So, and we talk about this a lot backstage in that we can't believe we're doing an incredible production of Kiss Me, Kate, because it's all the times I've seen, it's been like people way too young playing these roles, and like the scene transitions take 5 minutes. And so getting to do this show with the greatest people who could be doing it, it's such a gift, and it's such a testament to Broadway, and doing a show about the people who love Broadway on stage, behind the scenes. Even, you know, the gangsters are audience members, fangirls. So it's a celebration of the people who love doing this, and it's my Broadway debut, so getting to do a show about Broadway is like the best thing ever.
I always love doing a show within a show, being able to play performers. And then not just that, but even incorporating Shakespeare into the piece itself. You have new, younger generation who gets to come, and even if they've never had an introduction to Shakespeare, it is like a little bit of a dipping your toe into some Shakespeare as well, and they get to enjoy the comedy of it, and they really do get a variety of music and of genres within the piece. There's not really there's nothing missing from the piece. It really kind of covers the gamut when it comes to musical theater.
Yeah. Amanda, for you.
Well, like Kelly and Will, I also didn't grow up with this as much in my canon as some other musicals. The song, I knew all the songs. I didn't have, you know what I mean? They're just there. They're just they're in my DNA and in the water. You know, they just I know the whole score. And to me, the joy of this was. It was a huge success, and it's continued to be a huge success. But the reason why people enjoyed it when it first came out was not it would not be as enjoyable today. So to be able to bring it back to have, so people have the joyous experience that they had when it first opened, because audiences have changed. Our perception about what is acceptable of, women and men, what's fun to watch on stage, has certainly changed. But so to be able to work with Kelly and Will and this whole cast and Scott and Warren and be like, how do we make this feel good? How do we make this feel fun and let it shine through? Because it's really a glorious musical. So it was such a really fun thing to be able to work on, just joyous and thrilling.
Sure. How did Kiss Me Kate happen for each of you? For Kelly and Will, did it start with a concert version? Tell me how you all got to become a part of this.
Yeah, the Roundabout usually does a gala, a winter gala in December, and for those galas they do these kind of staged musical productions, and they're just a fun night, and there's like a week of at the most of rehearsal, and so we did it. We were standing behind stands, and Warren had choreographed a few numbers off book and everything, but it was actually a really joyous, fun night at a time that we needed to all laugh. It was December of 16, and it did make us laugh, but then the thought of actually doing it again with the problems, we kind of did it as is, and so there were things, glaring things about it. Well, I don't know. But then as the years, trickled on, the idea of could we do this and actually have a point and say a few things that might be important began to be interesting. But as much as we have done that and tried to do that as best we can with the help of the allowance of the state and with Amanda, I also knew what the heart of the show was, which was a great score and humor and fun and joy. And above all else, making points or whatever, I wanted a little bit of that for people. I wanted to have you can come in for 2.5 hours, and if you want, just laugh and have joy. And so, and you can roll your eyes or lift your eyebrows at certain things, because we left a lot in as points, making points. But the real thing I wanted in my own life, and also just to give others, was just some unadulterated fun.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and as she touched on, when you do the one night, one-off thing, you're not really investigating the piece. You're just singing this glorious score, and the things that are glaring, but you're just doing it one night, and then when they flip it and go, okay, we're thinking about doing this production, that's when you start the conversations. And for me, the obviously knowing Kelly was attached, but for me, I just was like, okay, so what's the piece about, really? And for me, it's the love story. It's the same for Taming of the Shrew. I don't see how you do either of these pieces if you don't investigate the love that's there, wherever it is. Then it's kind of pointless, to watch the bickering on stage, the bickering off stage. That ship has sailed. And I think the text supports this love story. In our production, we have this little coda at the end where we walk off together. I don't think for a second the audience thinks, everything's going to be hunky-dory. But as I said earlier, I think they think they're going to throw plates at each other, but the sex is going to be amazing. No, but do you know these people? But these people love each other, and that's real and messy, and I like real and messy. I like that. So that's the part I like about the piece. With the Taming of the Shrew stuff, that stuff takes care of itself, and we can make fun of Petruchio throwing a tantrum. We can allow Kate to not be a shrew and have this song about I hate men, whatever. And then the Lily and Fred stuff has to work itself out, and I think we've accomplished that. I think we're rooting for these two rather than going, let's watch them have fisticuffs and be angry with each other. I think you're rooting for them. So that was titillating for me, and I was like, yeah, sign me up. I want to do that.
Great.
I auditioned. I got an email to come in town. I was living in Los Angeles. And I got on my first red eye. I wrapped shooting on a movie. It comes out in May. Go see it. Booksmart. Plug. SAG-AFTRA. Yay. Yeah. And then I got on a red eye, went to the Tonys, stayed up till 5 a.m. soberly, auditioned the next morning. I did 2 scenes and a song. Scott Ellis said nothing to me other than, you can come here again on Wednesday. And I said yes. Went back on Wednesday, did the same thing, but taped for the Cole Porter Estate, and then I did a 20-minute private by myself dance call with Warren Carlyle and the entire male executive creative team watching me, and I accidentally sweated my suction bra off, so I had to throw it out of my dress in the middle of Too Darn Hot, which I'm not even in the show, and I got a call the next morning saying I got it, and I booked it.
So
Well, speaking for Scott Ellis, because he's not here, just so you know, he said to me, he knew as soon as you walked in the damn room. But I don't know if that's, revisionist. I'm just saying they
I'll
know.
take
I
it.
bet your suction bra was the real.
Yeah. It was the most lowest lame part of my audition was my bra falling off, so maybe that was it. I don't know. But it was great. It was a good time.
Glad you're here.
I'm obviously so excited to be here, so.
I had actually just finished working with Roundabout about 3 years ago on Holiday Inn, and
Brilliant, go right ahead.
And Scott Ellis,
Yeah.
Scott Ellis had also come in and done some of the scene work with us. So I had worked with him before, and he knew my work. I was just talking with these two about it earlier. I found out that Scott Ellis was going to be a part of it, that Warren Carlyle was going to be a part of it, that Kelly O'Hara and Will Chase, and I think you had already been signed on as well. So what I didn't tell you guys was something else had come in at the same time. I actually got an offer to do a production of In the Heights at the Sydney Opera House. And it was going to be like a.
Why are you here?
Here's the thing. It was a.
I mean, Kelly's good.
It was a short run. It was a short run. More money.
Again, you're
preaching
to the choir.
So, but really, like that. It was. This is such a perfect example of I can go and do a production at the Sydney Opera House of something that I've done before, and it's so in a good way. Like it would be so cushy, and like I would just go in. I would know everything. This would be. I mean, I get to go to Australia. I've never been to Australia before, or I can go and sweat my ass off.
Tap dance on the ceiling.
Tap dance on the ceiling 8 times a week in a Lord contract. But work with Kelly O'Hara and Will Chase and Stephanie Styles and Scott Ellis and Warren Carlyle. Obviously, I chose the latter, so.
We're glad you did.
Holy crap. And Amanda, you had worked with Scott and Warren before, right, on the 20th Century?
Yes, but my story's a lot like Stephanie's. I had
Tell
a lot.
it.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I worked. Scott had me work on the 20th Century, which was a musical my father wrote, and he asked me to look at one moment in the show and come up with a different lyric concept for it. And I had the time of my life working with Scott Ellis and Warren and Kristen Chenoweth in that production was just spectacular. And so when he called me, I mean, I said yes before I even knew what it was. I was just so excited to get the phone call. And Scott and Warren and Kelly and Will and this whole cast just thrilled me. It scared me to do that. I have not written the book before, so I was really happy actually to have that opportunity because it's similar to writing lyrics, and you have to solve the puzzle and go through, and so I wasn't that daunted by that, but I was scared of Kiss Me Kate, and they were talking about billing. I was like, maybe I'll just have none, in case it all falls to shit. No, but it was a really exciting and a slightly scary offer, but one I definitely could not refuse.
I love that. Well, we'll go back to Scott Ellis for a minute. You are working with one of the most sought after and respected directors working in this business, of course, Scott Ellis, their director. What makes him such a great director to work with?
He listens.
I was going to say the same thing.
He listens.
Yeah.
In fact, I can easily say that because it was one of the first things I noticed. I thought, I think he's just hearing me. I think he's just listening, and he's just sitting there, and he would wait. There's a patient. There's a non-patience about him. Like he's always chewing on something, and he's always got his hands going, and he's constantly. But there's also something where he just waits a minute, and I would say, I'm gonna do this. Okay. I'm gonna do this. Okay. And then later it might be, let's try this other thing or whatever it was. But everything seemed to be valid. So that by the time we were really going in to actually make changes, we all had the sense of his own security in us that then if he makes changes for us, you don't think, oh, I'm terrible. You just think, oh, we're a team here and he's going to, he's going to just lead me in my best direction. So literally. So he's pretty extraordinary that way, that he kind of lets you bring your human aspect to this show and trusts that. And then when he has an opinion about it, you know, it's like if I teach, I love to teach in a masterclass style the most because I like to see what you have first. And then I like to say, well, let's make this is great, let's make this better, or I have nothing to say, whatever it is. And I think kind of that's what he allows for, which I don't think a lot of people have the ego to do. They want to go ahead and just they have it all written out, you walk in the door. There didn't seem to be any of that. And he also was willing to, share that table with Amanda. Amanda, what do you think on this?
I would go home from
No
rehearsal
ego.
and I'd say to my husband, I've never felt so listened to in my entire life. I mean,
And then
it was
he had
incredible.
a Shakespeare expert come in and also just listen to her. And he's directed Shakespeare, but just listen to her about kind of her real thoughts on it. And then I think he just takes it all in. And then at the end of the day, he knows he has the final decision. So knowing that and actually being patient about it is actually, that's a real unusual thing. We all just want to jump to it and prove your worth. But I mean, he didn't. He just
he
listened.
listens, and he's also not wishy-washy at all. He knows he's in charge in the final. Anyway,
Yeah, he's very.
sounds like
It was kind of odd for me. I'd worked with him on Drood, and looking forward to it. And it's odd to hear Kelly say all this because Scott and we joke. He's kind of antithetical to the way I am used to working. And then I thought, well, is that really true? Because I, of late, have been doing a lot of television where you you come in, you do the thing, and then you're done doing the thing. There's not a lot of talk about it, whatever. And then you're in this rehearsal process now for a theater gig. And Scott's an actor. Scott comes from the acting world, so he wants to get up and do. And for most of the stuff, he liked to get up and do my stuff. And so we joke and you can.
He's a great director for women.
Do you want to play the role? You can but what I love about Scott as much, and I joked about another friend saying that I love Scott. He drives me crazy, but I love him. And of course, Scott acted like it didn't affect him. He's like, "What do you mean drove him crazy?" But the thing I love about Scott, you get through this rehearsal process, and he's done. He loves theater. He comes from it. Then we're done rehearsing, and then you go into previews. And I remember being a young actor and previews have to be opening night. Previews have to be, no, they don't. Scott has no problem going, tonight we're going to try this. It may be the dumbest freaking thing ever or the most brilliant thing ever. And you learn to trust that he's got the best intention of the show. And as previews go on, that trust washes over you and you know the show's okay. So you can I can just not worry about the show. I can worry about Will and my acting beats and my acting moments and finding the truth and things like that. And Scott will let you know. And after going through the process, I ended the 4 weeks in the studio. I'm like, oh my God, Scott, you're driving me crazy. To the end of it, it's like, I want to do every show ever with the man. Because he stretches me, he challenges me. Will's ego can get in the way, and he's like, let's get all that out of the way and let's do this thing. And which is a battle to get all these egos, all these wonderful performances, but we all have big egos, and we all have our own insecurities, and we want the show to be great, and he's great at just bringing that all together. I adore him.
I don't want to talk over you but I want to say it reminds me. I've realizing why this has been the least stress that I've had in a long time opening something, and I think it's because of that security. Paul has it too, Paul Gemignani. So you'd say, but Paul, what if the key? We'll change it. Well, what about the tempo? Well, we'll slow it down. And you go, okay, and nobody seems to be concerned because these are people who have just been around. They get it. They know it's not going to work. They know it's going to work. Even if I said, I'm going to do this, I insist on doing this, this is the right thing. Okay, try it.
Talk about these wonderful dual roles that you get to play and what you love about them. Because there's so many similarities between the two of them, and they're so different, but they must be so great to play. So talk about them,
Let's switch it up.
Yeah.
Go down there, Corbin.
Talk about your dual
Your dual role.
roles here. I think that I don't know. I've found it fun to be able to really play different characters between Bill Calhoun and Lucentio. Bill, Bill and Lois's relationship, they have their love, and he also has his love of his vice though, and his gambling, and he doesn't want to. It's
$10,000.
No, that's a lot. It's a lot of dough. Whereas I feel like Lucentio, is a little bit of a Romeo character. It's all love, and it's all putting it out there no matter what. There's nothing else that's going to prevent that. Whereas when I feel that way with what.
I'm just laughing at you because, yes, you can only play love, Corbin.
Oh, God.
And I'm supposed to sing every night, I Hate Men, based a little bit on the asshole that you're supposed to be. And we tried to get him to, like, make a mean face. We tried to be like, he whispers to my dad about something, and then he leaves, and I'm like, I hate men. But every night he's like, I'm just a good old guy. So I turn to the audience, and I'm like, I hate men, sort of. Not that one.
Not him.
Because you're so,
When we
you're
first
just
put
so
that bit in,
lovely. So
they
lovey.
needed me to just be an asshole to her, and I was like, I can't be an asshole to Kelly O'Hara. It feels weird. So, but then I was like, okay, and I was like, no, I gave her a face, and I was like, whatever it was. And then every time she was like, stop smiling at me.
And then one night, my favorite is because he does Tom, Dick, and Harry. He can barely talk. He's breathing so hard right before that scene. So he turns around to give me the big smug look, but his tooth is stuck above his lip. Because he's so dry, he needs a drink of water. And he's like,
God.
like that. And I had to sing the whole song. I hate men.
Needless to say, if I Hate Men ever feels like there's a lack of hatred, that's my fault.
That's so funny. Oh my God. This is right early on. We had a discussion about whether I was Lois, not me, but Lois Lane was supposed to be good at acting, and I in the reading I made a very strong choice to not be, in that I said my first line in very hardcore iambic pentameter, but Scott was adamant. He was like, no, you have to be good, because even though I'm here because Fred and I have a motif or something happened in the past, he doesn't want the show to be bad. And so that I had to be relatively good. But what I think about the difference between Lois Lane and Bianca, I don't think it's as different as some of your guys' portrayals, because I think of the fact that I don't think Lois Lane is probably an incredible actress. What I do think she is an incredible performer, because she's a nightclub singer. And I think that also that's, these relationships she has with men, is she's just one of those actresses that just kind of is her. She's charming and you love her. And so when you see her do things, you enjoy it. And so I think that's very much how I looked at it. And also the fact that this is one of the only things we have in common, is that a lot of the show you see her being like, I want to be on Broadway. And she's, being a nervous actress, and she's nervous that he's going to get her in trouble, or some drama that's happening backstage. But when she's on stage, she's like, I am living my best life. This is everything I want to be doing and more, and same. And so whenever I am Bianca, I do feel it's just Lois Lane killing it. She is I am on stage and I'm gonna act so hard and I'm gonna be great. So yeah, I think about Bianca and the fact that she has all these guys, but that's also Lois Lane, and yeah.
You're playing three people. You're playing yourself.
No, and it even
Lois Lane, Bianca. Is there anybody else in there?
It's so meta. Yeah, John Malkovich. And then, but I think that the other thing that what I think is, this is a deep cut, but what I love about Corbin and I is that we will break as Lucentio and Bianca as Lois and Bill. So we will be doing a scene in Shakespeare, and then we're like, tee-hee, we probably just did it backstage. And no, it's deep.
I want to see the show now.
Well, watch the wedding. So I would say watch Pavane, that wedding scene. So, because it's right, Bianca happens, and I jump on him when we go into his dressing room, and the next time you see us, we're getting married, and we're like,
I never thought of that backstory.
thank you. Will Chase?
Oh, me? Okay. Not nearly that interesting. Scott and I, early on, when he was asking me to do it, I kept saying, well, I want to find the differences, because every production I've ever seen is the same, meaning the Petruchio is the same as the Fred, and it's all about the fighting and all that. And I said, well, the love story's got to be at the forefront. We have to believe these people are in love. And so I said, is Fred good? What's happening? Okay, can we take it back?
Yeah, fabulous.
Well, Richie, the difference is this is SAG-AFTRA, right?
Totally.
Thank you, Kelly. It's just like, training me, eating bugs and things. I said, is Fred good? Is he a good director and a good actor? And he said, yeah, we want to go that route, and which I agreed with. And so I think Fred's one of these guys that thinks he can play any role, and I think his Petruchio is quite good, but because I like making the is bombastic is a word? Is bombasticity a word?
Bombast.
Oh, the bombast of it. The Petruchio is there. It's on the page. And I wanted to not take some of that away from Fred, but I wanted to, there's a lot of moments where he has to submit to her that I don't know that I've ever seen or I thought about it. That he's putting up a front. So they're putting up, this is how we communicate, we fight. But she takes him, that first scene, she takes him down every time that they come at each other. She kind of takes him down. And what does that do to a man's ego and all those things? But so I like the differences. I love playing them both. If I had to choose one, I don't know. Maybe the Petruchio stuff, the Shakespeare stuff for me, I love. I just love.
Plus, you get to wear your black eyeliner.
I get to wear a lot of black eyeliner and tight trousers. Yeah. But anyway, I think I like the differences between the characters.
It's interesting that you said, I felt like you were ending, so I was going to
I'm done,
piggyback.
Kelly.
Yeah, okay. You said you have to submit to me, but you will choose to. And that's the difference between, I think, his Fred and Petruchio and what's been played before. I like what Will has done because this has often been played in that very reason why people worry about this show. That misogyny, that dum-da-da-dum, I know, everything. And as I've said to you about you before, Will has 2 grown daughters who are like, Dad, be woke right now. And, Fred does love Lily. We're not together. You have every right to do whatever you want, with Bianca or otherwise, or Lois or otherwise. But there's a part that is more approachable and kind of even and balanced with the 2 people. I think. I mean, I'm hoping that's what I feel and that's what I want. So that by the end of it, when we don't say I'm ashamed that women are so simple, and I don't say that I'm ashamed that men are so simple, but we say I'm ashamed that people are. And that we fight, and that we want to be in charge, and we seek for rule and supremacy. When the life is, everything's going to go away. We're going to lose everything anyway, except love. So why don't we spend the time we have here, trying to love and stop arguing? Thank you, Amanda Green. And so that is based on 2 people who, although totally at odds with each other, ego-wise, and some of you saw us in the green room. We do this in real life too. The actual mutual respect is there, and it's safe, and it's clean, and it's respectful. So we take each other down a notch because we're hurting, but the real kind of balance is there. But to answer the question about the characters, I feel like Kate is my strong character. I feel like they are different, incredibly different. I think Kate gives Lily a voice. I know actresses. I'm one of them. I know women in love. I know women hurting. I've been one of them. I want Lily in this moment to be in a place of great uncertainty. She's coming back to the theater after how many years? I don't finish the sentence. I mean, I know the answer, but whatever.
What is the answer?
Well, it's for me. And then. No, it's not.
Tonight, I'm going to look her right in the face.
It's not that deep.
And I'm going to let you finish the sentence.
The point is that the point.
I'll let the line go on. I haven't been in the theater for. It's going to happen. Anybody coming tonight? You know it's going to happen.
Now everybody is.
No, but I mean, otherwise, if she was in a different place, she wouldn't be acting out so much in the beginning. First of all, the way that Warren, and we'll get to that, but the way that Warren and Scott wanted that first number to be, for me, was enough to make an actress break down. And I did for the first few weeks, and I still often do during the show. Whether or not you get it at all, to enter a theater, it seemed, to me, it was embarrassing because it seemed too presentationally all about me, until I started to think about it in a different way, which was, because I'm looking at a real audience, it feels like it's so I can get entrance applause. But if I think about walking into that theater with no one in that house, but I'm looking at what it looks like to be, the way I feel when I step onto an empty stage and look at empty seats, it's my life force. It's the blood that runs through me. I mean, I could cry right now thinking about it. So they gave me that entrance to welcome me back to the theater. And the thought of me leaving the theater for any amount of time, it hurts. The only reason we do it is because we want a better schedule and a little bit more money. But most of us just want to be here. I can promise you, most of us. But anyway, the point of it is I think Lily is in a place of lying to herself about how she feels. Yeah, I'll come to your show. You know, we'll get more people in the audience. We'll get the backing for it because I've become a movie star. Empty, you know, not fulfilling her that much. But I'm back here because I want to be near you, but I'm not going to admit it. And here you are with her. It hurts. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Well, Kate is always played as a shrew or called a shrew because she's angry. She has every reason to be angry. She doesn't want to be married off. She doesn't want to be whispered about. She doesn't want to have men controlling her life. She doesn't want to have a father who loves her sister more than she loves her. Kate has reason to be angry, and she uses that voice. She uses it. So whatever you want to think about that, it's shrewish, it's insane, I discount it, I don't like it, fine. But she has a purpose. She's not just an angry woman. So Lily gets hurt, finds out about the flowers, gets mad. Kate gives her a voice, and she beats the shit out of him. Yeah. And that's how I look at them. They're very different people. Yeah. And actresses can be strong, and Lily will go through periods and has and will and has where she feels really good about things. But we must understand that when she starts this particular show, she's not in that place. That's why it's so sometimes hard for me to come in with a very, as I'm noted, meaning I've been given notes, take in this, be a diva. It doesn't work for me because to walk back into a theater is, you don't own it. You got to earn your place, and I've been gone. So to be accepted and to have the chair and to everybody to accept me, that's what I use I use it as a welcome home. So
see, that's how I saw it too, and for many people.
Well,
who went to see
I
it.
hope so, because
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to feel in it. As opposed, there was one night I got a bunch of notes about really taking the stage, and I walked in and I did my thing and I did the whole thing. And this is previews for you when Scott's like, "Don't worry, just try it, just try it." So I'm doing the whole thing, and I'm like this, and everyone's annoying me, and what time is it, and and this, and I'm like, well, I guess it got you the backing. You're welcome, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I walked out and I said, that will never be me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I adjust, and by the time June 30th comes, I'll have figured it out, maybe.
What is the best bit of advice that you all live by? I mean, you're at the top of your game with your lives and your career. Like, what do you live by? What's the best advice that you live by?
Should I just go off of what you just said? You say you're at the top of your game, which I disagree with.
Really?
And I feel like it goes into part of what I live my life by, and is that I never feel like I've won. I don't. The second I go, I'm good. I feel like I've lost. There's always something to obtain, and once you get to that next step, you're always going, well, what's next? And it is the curse of the actor and the performer of always, maybe feeling like you haven't quite reached it yet, or you're not good enough. And being someone, I have obtained a level of success, and there was a time in my life where I lived like a rock star life, like even during the High School Musical times, where it was like I couldn't go anywhere, and we performed stadiums, like 70,000 people a night, like crazy. And even after that, I'm still always going, well, what next? What else can I do to fulfill the void? What else can I do to make sure I'm feeling like I have purpose? So yeah, I guess it's so much of it is not feeling like I'm at the top of my game. Yeah.
There's always something.
There's always
beyond
there's
that.
always something. Yeah, there's always something new. I never want to feel like I'm at the top.
Yeah.
I guess.
Anybody else want to add to that?
Well, being at the top. What else is there, Richie? I mean, no. Along those lines, I
He's
mean,
such a different person than you really are. He is. He's like, I'm all jaded, but he's like the biggest sweetheart teddy bear. He
He's the
cries
biggest
every
insecure.
He cries like, my daughter today, she was so sweet.
it is about it. For me, it's about enjoying that moment, whatever that moment is. And I have to remind myself, you get into this thing of, like you said, the next gig or the next job, and that's important to do that. But as I get older, it's about enjoying this night and this moment on stage, or I'm at home and enjoying this time, and life seems nice and longer that way. And I want to be 80 acting. I want to be challenged, and but as far as acting goes, I want to keep trying to find things that challenge me. But just being in the moment and enjoying that, whatever that is, I think is the key for me.
Beautiful. Kelly, for you.
Okay, I think that I would say I hear so much of what you're saying, because that's my personality too. I will always need and want to think I need to get better, and that will keep me going. But the advice I have is to have something besides this, because it can be punishing. Whether or not you're winning, and sometimes if you're winning, it can be more punishing because there's pressure there. There's, then I must do this, or I must deserve all of this somehow. But when you look in the eyes of your loved one, your children, your best friend, your oldest friend, the one who's known you since before anything happened, whoever it is, whoever they are that make up your other, when you look into their eyes and they don't need any of that from you, but they need the real you. For me, it's my children, because they don't care anything about the rest of this. They could care less about it. And I will be doing something like this where you're listening to you're listening to me talk, and I can get a real big head about it, and then I will have a child who looks at me and says, will you wipe me? Whatever it is. It's like they don't care who I am. And all they know is that I'm mommy, and it puts everything into perspective for me. It made me a better artist. Definitely, because the pressure of this ego, fulfilling it all the time, I got that, so there's a balance, and that's the balance is what is really important, so that we cannot lose ourselves.
Beautiful. Stephanie, for you.
I'm going to take all of this advice and just take it for myself, but I think something with Corbin said, I'm a big proponent of, dreaming big but working really hard. I think things don't just happen, and that was definitely my journey here today, is having those big dreams, but knowing that the road will look different than you think it's going to be. And I know there's a great quote where they say, keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground, and that's something I really like to live by. And that's a quote from Newsies. Thank you.
Amanda, for you.
God, I would be lying if I told you I had one thing I live by. It changes all the time. But I do think staying in the moment, in the day, and being grateful for what is in front of you, because we have, there's so many gifts that we have. Being in a rehearsal room with these people was just fantastic. Hanging out with my husband and laughing is fantastic. My being grateful for what's in front of you. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you all. I have known all of you since you all got to New York. I've seen you all in your first shows and everything else, and listened to your music. I thank you for the most beautiful afternoon. If you have not seen Kiss Me Kate, go right across the street. If you've seen it, go see it again. The company of Kiss Me Kate. We're gonna go.